ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. Why is China stalling? And why did people predict this? Why was I able to say it 8 years ago that this would be the case? So this is going to be a fairly short video in that respect, because it's fairly easy to understand. To explain it, I'll talk about the development of Soviet Russia in the 1920s. In 1927, in a certain region of the Ural Mountains in Western Soviet Union, a bureaucrat wanted to increase his electric production by 100% that year. So you know what he did? He bought a great big diesel generator and plugged it into the town grid. And 100% increase in production for electricity for that year. Now, if they do that all across the country, they can do, they could increase production of electricity by 30 or 40% just by getting a bunch of electric generators hooked up to the grid, just old diesel generators. Fast forward to 1939. How do they increase production now? Because every year they've been increasing. Now it takes an enormous power plant. So that's what a developing economy looks like, is 5% is weak, 15% is what you need, 20%. But when you have a fully developed economy, when everyone in the whole country has access to a $50 million power plant, and you say next year we're going to increase power plant production by 5%, well, you're going to add a bunch of full-sized big real power plants then, and that's not cheap. So for a large economy, an advanced economy to grow is difficult. For a small undeveloped economy to grow, it can grow by leaps and bounds just by putting in a sidewalk here and a lamppost there, and you get 40% economic growth for a sector. So that's the thing. Now, can they transition over from just a let's manufacture things and send them out of the country to a let's manufacture things and we can live on these things and with the things? Can they transition over? And it's going to take a free press, in my opinion. You have people selling tainted meat and fake eggs and things, and if this isn't talked about in the press, there's no way it'll ever get under control. It just gets swept under the rug and hidden for various stupid reasons. And so ultimately what you have in a corrupt society like that is very severe limits to economic growth, just by the fact that you don't have freedom of speech. Just because you cannot straighten out your goddamned economy. People keep dying of poisonings and things. 60% of the baby powder sold in China is imported. And probably 90% of it that's sold on the shelves is labeled as imported, even though it's actually not. So until they have a free press, they are not going to straighten this situation out. And until they have this situation straightened out, they're not going to be able to grow into a mature economy. But they're going to try in fits and starts, and they already have a massive quantity of wealth that we've imported to them over the last 20 years, and they're going to use that, and probably, if history is any indication, they're going to use it in a violent and disruptive way. Exactly like I predicted Russia was going to do. I predicted this years ago. I said, when a controlled economy gets hold of a bunch of wealth, it uses it in violent, illegitimate ways, usually to start a war, almost always to start a war. And that is exactly what we're seeing with Russia today. The oil boom caused them to become a militaristic, heavily armed aggressor. We're going to see the same thing with China. We're going to see the same thing with China. We are seeing it, and we will see it. That's what we're dealing with the Arabs. It's a controlled economy. You pump a lot of wealth into it, it short circuits and goes violent. Read God of the Machine by Isabel Patterson if you want to know more about that. Her whole book is about that. That whole book is controlled societies being unable to deal with the wealth that free societies produce. So we are going to face let's see, I don't even remember what I started this video as saying, but oh gosh, now I'm lost on it. I wonder how I even started. That's how upset I am about this. I've done now 3 or 4 or 5 videos on various angles of this subject, and I've tried to upload some of them, and I don't know what's happening with them. I think that because I advocate gun ownership or something like that, the videos aren't going to go up. But I'm just really worried. I don't know. It's going to be war, and the fact that China's economy is stalling right now. The reason that it's stalling isn't really necessarily going to change the fact that it's stalling. And the stalling will create instability because they're counting on growth, and everybody's counting on them to grow, and it's bad. So the reason they're stalling is because they're advanced. The fact that they're stalling is going to create instability and violence.